Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this latest edition of Energy Matters with me, Lee Anthony Taylor. Thank you for your company and thank you for subscribing. Keep those subscriptions coming in. Tell all your friends about it. And we'll have many more episodes with lots of information, not only on reflexology work, which is my speciality, but on the whole thing to do with energy medicine. So please keep tuning in. Right, this week, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a subject, again, which is dear to my heart, and you've probably seen a couple of videos with it already. Last video was with Ernie over in Canada, and we talked about reflexology in men. This month, November, so you'll be seeing this in November, is International Men's Health Month. Now, it'd be nice if we had 12 months of the year rather than just 1 month to concentrate on men's health, but it's a good start. So we'll get down to talking about that during the course of this particular session. Men's health for me is a biggie. I'm really, really passionate about it. And November the 19th in particular is International Men's Health Day. And it would be great, this is going to go out before then, if all of you watching this could in some way do something to promote your therapy, reflexology or otherwise, to men, to encourage them to come into your clinic rooms and to experience energy medicine, maybe for the first time. The thing with men's health as well is, as we find out quite often, and I teach a course on this as well, is men don't consider their health to be important. They place themselves quite low down in the on the list. You know, something has to be hanging off them before they'll say, "Oh, well, I'll go and get it sorted." Um, but really, if we can convince men of how important they are and therefore how important their health is, then I'm sure we get a lot more men in the clinic room. This latest episode, I'm doing an interview with my teacher, Nicola Hall of the British Reflexology Association and the Bayly School of Reflexology. That's where I trained back in the 1990s. Now, Nicola has always been a real inspiration to me as somebody who is so definite in her ideas about where reflexology should be going and where it's come from as well. She has a wonderful lineage in that she trained with Doreen Bayly, who was the first reflexologist to bring the therapy to England. And she had dealings with Eunice Ingham as well. And all of you who know about reflexology will know the name Eunice Ingham. So she has a really good lineage, does Nicola. And I feel very proud of the fact that that's been passed on to me as well. So when I was talking with Nicola, we were talking about men's health, but we were talking about two specific things that I've got a real thing for at the moment, a real passion for. And that is getting men into the clinic room and getting men into the profession. And as you'll see from the interview, Nicola comes up with some really inspiring ideas as well. We talk about why reflexology has taken time to become established. You know, she trained in the 1970s, and then reflexology was a lot different to how it's considered today. So sit back, enjoy the interview, and send your comments, send your any of the views that you've got, put them in the comments box below. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on a future issue of Energy Matters with me, Lee Anthony Taylor.
Lee, nice to see you again.
It's lovely to see you, and I've invited you onto this year this season's podcast to really get an idea of where we are with reflexology, where we've come from, where we are right now, and where we're going to with reflexology and complementary medicine in general, because I know that your role and your influence in complementary medicine has been very widespread over the years as well. What I wanted to do as well, because it's been a while since we've had a chance to catch up, is to congratulate you on the role of becoming the BRA president. So Nicola is now the president of the British Reflexology Association. When we first worked together many, many years ago, your role as chairman was well noted then. What do you feel is the difference between being a president of association and say the chairman or the chief executive?
Well, really, you're just a figurehead. So you don't do any of the admin work any longer.
Right.
So that was the main reason I gave up. I felt I'd done it long enough. I felt time for someone else to take over.
Okay.
But as president, I would say I take a fairly active role. You know, I attend all the meetings. I'm willing to give support to the admin office and chairman where necessary.
Right.
So
Right.
probably show a bit more interest as president than our previous presidents.
Right. So being a figurehead, so to speak, it frees you from that responsibility, like you say, of the administration. But with that freedom, does it allow you a voice to be able to not only represent the BRA, but reflexology more in general? Does it give you a better standing to be able to do that?
No, I don't think so, really. Um, I like to encourage the person who is chair now to take part in various meetings. So, yes, I take a back seat, really.
Right. Now, when you trained, how would you say that reflexology was received by the general public and the medical profession when you trained? Well, we're talking in the 1970s.
Well, it was very new. You know, not many people knew what reflexology was. I think it was a bit of a leftover from the hippie era that they expected everyone to be, you know, in sort of long gowns and
Yeah,
beads
yeah.
and I think in those days the medical profession didn't really think much of complementary medicine. A
Because
few might.
your background originally was actually in medicine, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went to medical school for a short while, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, I discovered.
Yeah. Now, when you trained, were the men training alongside you? What was the percentage of men training at that time? Was it considered to be even then a predominantly female profession?
Yeah, it's a long time ago that I was on a course, but yes, I can remember there were men on the course. Um, Probably not very many.
Was because it was considered maybe more of, I don't know, a male brain kind of thing, a scientific kind of thing at the time? Was it promoted as such, or what was the opinion of it then?
As to why there weren't more men.
Why there weren't more men, or there were that many men in the first place? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it was perhaps not thought a masculine thing to do to rub people's feet. You know, people like the osteopaths and the acupuncturists obviously have probably a predominance, or
yeah,
initially did, of male practitioners. And I also think, from the point of view of sort of making a living out of practicing complementary medicine, um, probably it's difficult as a reflexologist to be a full time practitioner and earn the sort of salary you might get as an osteopath or acupuncturist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, did you feel that even at that stage, we're talking in the 1970s, did you feel that reflexology was going to almost align itself with different professions rather than the osteopathy and the chiropractic and the do you feel there was a split already happening there?
I suppose there was really, because you could class them as alternative therapies, whereas we're very much a complementary therapy that you're not going to be able to treat everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, within the medical profession itself, you said that they really either were very dismissive of it or they just didn't include it in any way. Was there also an element of don't go near this because it's quackery or anything like that at the time, or what was it
Uh,
like?
there probably was uh, um, a percentage of doctors would have thought, yes, don't go that, it might do you harm. I
Right.
think probably most of them would probably think, well, it probably isn't going to do you any good.
Yeah.
A bit of a waste of
Don't
time.
waste your money. Yeah.
But it really, because they didn't know anything about it,
Yeah.
and that there was no scientific evidence. So a lot of them would think, well, if there's no scientific evidence, then it can't possibly work.
So where would the information have come from at that time to educate the general public then about what reflexology was like? Was it a really, really slow process?
I suppose it was. Again, or the lack of sort of evidence of how it worked sort of put a lot of people off.
Yeah.
And I suppose the interest grew mainly by word of mouth, people saying they'd had treatment and they felt better. And so somebody else tried it, and then people deciding to train because they wanted to help other people.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult one, really. We've come a little way since those early days, but not as much as I would have hoped.
Now, the Bayly School was set up, obviously, as a result of Doreen Bailey's work and then you taking on the mantle and doing that work as well. But there was quite a while before the British Reflexology Association was set up afterwards. What was going on in that interim period between setting the school up and trying to promote it and then having an association? How difficult was that to promote reflexology?
I think when Mrs. Bayly was alive, she spoke of the need for an association. And so when I took over the school, I suppose as it was only about 3 years probably after I took over that people were saying it'd be good to have an association. So I started looking into it and how you did it. I was aware that there were other training schools about, and I made them aware of what I was going to do and try and set up an association and call it the British Reflexology Association. And at the time, they seemed supportive. And in order to use the term British, you have to go through a lot of loops to prove that it really is.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt I'd got that support and I had to go to solicitors and everything. And it probably took about 18 months to get all the legal side of it done. Then in my mind, it was disappointing that in that time, a couple of people went and set up another association, which
Yeah.
personally I think was a backward step. It
Yeah.
would have been better that we'd all started out as one association.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same in many fields of complementary medicine. It's more
Sure.
than one association.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And the BRA actually celebrates its 40th birthday this year as well, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Yeah. 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 So I've spoken to other people about this as well, but I mean, even now, coming up to the present day, there's still a low percentage of men, not only who come into the clinic rooms, but also who come into the profession as well. I mean, when I trained with you back in the 90s, I seem to remember out of the class of 34, there were 34 of us in Birmingham.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
was
I
it?
remember you doing the practicals over two rooms in the hotel, at the middle of the hotel.
Oh, really? Gosh.
But I was the only guy that was there. I seem to
Yes,
remember I was the only guy that was there. So what is it? I mean, you've touched on the idea, obviously, that it's not maybe considered masculine enough, but we live in changing times now where hopefully that might be different. But what else is there that might have precluded men from coming into the profession, do you think?
I think again it's rather a sort of old-fashioned view, but that the male of the household is the main money earner. And
Yeah,
again, that has changed as years have gone by. Um, and I think it was really a matter of could someone make a living
yeah,
out of being a reflexologist?
yeah, yeah,
And it's quite interesting when you contacted me and said we were going to have a chat. I did a quick look through my database, and over the years, roughly, only about 5%
mm,
of qualified practitioners are men.
yeah,
But what I tended to find was that when um, any of the men on the course came and qualified, they then used it. and they really did try and set up a practice
Yeah.
to use it as a job.
Yeah.
Whereas I think quite a lot of women who have trained, well, either don't use it and just do family and friends, or see it very much as a part-time occupation.
Yeah.
And there's
Or
nothing
is
wrong
it
with that.
some form of additional income?
Mm.
But yeah. So with female practitioners in particular, what I wanted to just get your opinion on, maybe some advice on as well, is that a couple of years back I did a survey in which I asked everybody, so it wasn't aimed at any group in particular, everybody within the reflexology profession, whether they had any particular issues with treating male clients. Because my passion and my focus at the moment is on reflexology for men's health. And I want to encourage more men to come into the clinic rooms because I think that with these changing times that we're in, and especially since things like the lockdown and the pandemic itself, where men's mental health has become much more of an issue, reflexology has never been needed more, I think, than now. So it's about encouraging men to come into the clinic rooms. But when I did this survey back in 2022, I was quite shocked by some of the results when I asked therapists what their views were on treating male clients. Some of them were categorically no way, because of the safety issues more than anything else. Um, um, but some were just like, well, I'm only set up for women and I wouldn't consider men as well, which is like 49% of the population. So even from a business perspective, it would make more sense. You know, you're missing out on 49% of the population. But there is a deeper issue here and a more serious issue, which is women in certain circles within the profession just don't feel safe treating men. What would your advice be on, how they would possibly overcome those initial worries about offering reflexology to male clients?
Yes, I can understand to an extent. But yes, you'd think, as you say, 49% of the population are male. I can't say I've ever had a problem of whether I see male or female clients. What I tended to do, I don't have a full-time secretary any longer, but when I did, if it was a male client, I always made sure there was someone else around. And when I do my training courses, I always say to women when they're training that, if you are nervous about seeing male patients, then, try and have someone there the first time you see them. Don't sort of book them in late in the evening. And I think use your gut feeling. If people are asking odd questions before they even come for treatment, you don't really like the sound of them.
Yeah,
And that would apply to women as well.
yeah, of course.
Just say you're not available, or
Yeah,
there have been a couple of occasions over the years when I've seen male patients and didn't feel that comfortable with them. So when they say, could they book another appointment? I just said I didn't think reflexology would help them.
right, right.
And there isn't an answer to that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think it's part of the lack of education about what reflexology is, though, that makes a difference? Because if men in particular were better educated about the benefits of reflexology and what it involves, then do you think that we might actually push the weird ones away, shall we say, from making the inquiries in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number of weird phone calls you get has just gone, really. In the early days when I practiced, yes, you've got pranks ringing up. Um, and you just put the phone down on them. But I can honestly say I never get any of those now. I
Yeah,
think that's almost a thing of the past. Um, I think with the younger generation, they're much more open to
mm,
complementary medicine. I think they've been introduced to it more.
yeah,
So hopefully we will see as the years go by that more men feel comfortable going for treatment.
yeah. And more women feel confident to be able to
To
treat them.
see them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
definitely.
there's so much more. publicity about, sort of in the workplace of men abusing women, and people are just much more aware of it nowadays and realize it's not acceptable. I think that's the thing. I think in years gone by, it was almost something you just, as a woman, had to put up with. But I think that's very much changed in more recent years.
So with the current perception of reflexology as it stands now, opening up to like the younger generation as well, who certainly are much more in tune with what they need to do about their health. Whether they act upon it is a different thing, but they're more in tune with it. What do you feel the road ahead's like for reflexology then?
I would hope that more people would have reflexology treatments. But I'm afraid I've been thinking that for quite a long time, and it never seems to happen. But I know, there are practitioners around the country who are really busy. I think a lot is the sort of area you're in. I do think, as I said earlier, that, with the younger generation being more open to these things, I think as years go by, gradually, hopefully, we will see more men interested in receiving treatment and training.
I mean, it's a very positive message to end on, actually, because certainly all our health issues for men and for women don't show any signs of going away. In fact, they show signs of intensifying in some respects because of the way the health service is here in the UK, especially. So yeah, it's watch this space, isn't it? See what happens. Yeah.
And I think we're helped by the fact that people like Prince Charles, King Charles, sorry, is very open to talk about being unwell, and celebrities, and that's good, really, because it gives the message that anyone can be affected by ill health. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's good to seek help.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, lovely. Well, it's been lovely to speak to you, Nicola, and I won't leave it so long next time before I speak to you. But thank you for very much for being part of today's edition, and thank you to everybody else for watching.